Welcome to the Week in Italian Startup, where we discuss the latest highlights happening in the Italian tech and investment ecosystem. Hello everyone, this is the Week in Italian Startup, where me and Nicolò, we discuss the latest news happening in the Italian tech ecosystem. Every week, freshly delivered to your clubhouse and to your favorite Spotify channel. So here we are.
Ciao, Jack.
Awesome, Nick. Ciao. All right, let's get going. Very diverse deals I've seen. I really want to talk about the biotech that is happening. That happened last week, which is Kither Biotech, the biggest round, and then about some interesting corporate movements with Stellantis, which is like a huge deal, I believe. So there are a few different things which are very interesting. What's your feeling, Nick?
Well, things are moving. We see that the European market is going as fast as possible, like crazy fast, and the Italian market is, as always, is catching up. So the news this week are, good. Could be better, but I'm waiting for some other big news coming up in the next few weeks.
Awesome. All right, let's get going with Kither Biotech raising 18.5 million. From a syndicate of different investors, including Claris Ventures to invest and some other funds. I've seen Kither like a few years ago, actually, very, very sort of verticalized into, I believe, what are rare pulmonary diseases. So it's a very, very sort of narrow focus in terms of business and deals. And they've been growing, and I'm glad that they managed to actually close such a big round for the last week. What's your take on this one?
Well, as you know, this is not my vertical. The company is going after, in particular, I believe, cystic fibrosis. That's quite an important illness in terms of impact on the population. I believe there are several companies that are trying to solve this or to find a cure for this type of illness. So happy to see that there's an Italian player on the field looking to find a suitable cure. Yeah. I'm quite interested in the deal since Claris. I know Claris, I know the team. They are very young general partners. Very focused, and I remember when I talked to them that cystic fibrosis was exactly one of their investment targets. So they were already a couple of years back, probably.
Wow.
They already had in target a cure for that specific, a therapy or a cure for that specific illness.
So they kind of verticalize instead of a sector in diseases. That's extremely interesting. As if we're looking for people working on this very specific and narrow problem. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and this is it would be probably better to invite them into the podcast to discuss about the strategy. But this is exactly what they're doing.
Wow.
They are not just a generic life science fund. Yeah. They have a few themes that they studied before launching the fund, and they're after exactly these themes.
Wow, I love that.
So when you see an investment by them, know that they have been planning that investment for years, because they knew that vertical is something that they wanted to solve.
Yeah. All right. Some other also, apart from Claris, which is very active in Italy for biotech companies and healthcare in general. Also, Club degli Investitori has been like very active in that sector. I've been seeing some deal flow from them, and they've been really looking closely to a lot of like biotech deals. And kudos to them, because they're doing also like a great job as an angel syndicate. So that's pretty cool.
Well, we are a very strong country for life science. So Italy is a good international player. Yeah. In particular for the early stages. Yeah. I don't know much about the later stages, but from the little I know, we're not too bad on life sciences. Digital, there is still.
All right. Second interesting player that has been placing some bets is Cysero, which we've been talking about extensively in the past. This is an offshoot of AVM Gestioni. Basically, they will focus on robotics and cybersecurity, and they invested in Flyingbasket. Flyingbasket has been basically alive from a few years actually, trying to develop like an emergency drone to actually reach. And it's an unmanned aerial drone for rescue missions in particular. That's where they're playing mostly. And yeah, I mean that's also a big deal because it's quite an interesting investment, and it's a Series A. So we don't know exactly the amount, but that's an interesting sort of push to the aerial like emergency transportation sector. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's not the first one of the first deals that I would have expected from Cysero, since they are robotic and cyber security fund.
Yep.
For sure, drone transportation is a hot topic, and it will become a hot topic in a sense, or having unmanned vehicles bringing stuff around.
Yep.
It's an interesting capability to build, and probably starting from emergency services is a low-hanging fruit to build that capability. So this is something that might evolve into a broader scope, maybe in the future, either by the company or by Cysero, in terms of understanding some, increasing their understanding of how that would work.
Yeah.
I believe in this sense, the relationship that I see on the website with ENAC, for example, by the company, is a very important one, because if ENAC says no, you don't fly. So this is very important.
Totally. Interesting. And by the way, that's also another interesting vertical, which I've seen happening a few years back in the US, where actually there is a ton of startup trying to manage aerial control, which it's not only about the hardware of drone flying, but it's actually everything else that is moving around, including how to actually handle like a drone movements on top of a city, for example. And there are people trying to actually solve that problem. So that's a non-obvious business created because of this new product and this new trend.
No, because unmanned doesn't mean autonomous, for example.
Exactly.
So unmanned means that there is someone who's driving the drone from somewhere else. So you have to fly in line of sight, as they say, which has its own problems in a big city, with skyscrapers and houses and things going around and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And then add autonomous to that, so below or beyond line of sight, so without seeing the vehicle. So there are a lot of problems, issues, themes to solve there. So it's very, very early, but probably quite impactful.
Absolutely.
Market going forward.
Absolutely. So I would move on to actually another very interesting deal, which is kind of significant because it's Ogyre. I think that's pronounced correct. Essentially, this is a company that through their online sales of product, you essentially finance fishermen or operators removing plastic from the ocean. So this is a very interesting take in terms of product and how exactly direct-to-consumer products are evolving, especially with the sort of ESG sustainability like flavor. And these guys are really experimenting something which is very sort of upfront. Instead of buy my product, I will devolve a percentage to whatever cause. They basically are doing the opposite. So let's start from the cause and then build a product out of that. So I was particularly curious about this one.
In a sense, you're right. In a sense, this in the thread of startups that are somehow selling environmental impact. Freedom is in the same market. Awesome. Speaking of Italian startups doing something similar, no? Yeah. You pay something and they plant a tree somewhere in the world. In this case, you pay something and they remove plastic from somewhere in the ocean. And that's probably quite an interesting and powerful trend going forward, because I mean, traditional companies need to offset the carbon footprint. There was I believe yesterday or the day before yesterday, the SEC, the SEC, published a 500 pages report on the disclosures regarding the environment.
Now
for
everybody needs to do it, man. Everybody.
Exactly. Exactly. See, they just created the market.
Exactly.
The market was there before the SEC said anything about it. But now it's clear. It's official.
So what is interesting exactly about this point is that I've seen a lot of people trying to actually push some form of green certification. And there are a ton of companies which are trying to actually play that field where, they go in companies and they try to get to like a reliable standard, which can kind of resell into the marketing of the company. So again, that's some players trying to capitalize on this kind of trend. In Italy, I think in Europe in general has been active for a while, but now definitely the thing blow up. And it's gonna reach global scales for sure. So that's I'm absolutely with you. It's so true. It's a new market right now, created essentially last week. There you go.
Exactly.
There you go.
From thin air.
Yes.
So there was a lot of action going on, but now it is a market.
Now it is a market.
So
exactly.
An entire horizontal layer in finance that it will be devoted to. Exactly.
I agree. All right, let's talk about our friends from P101 investing in CivitFun Hospitality, which is 2 million investments. It's a Tenerife-based check-in automation service. So let's talk about this for a second. Well, it's a nice addition to portfolio. P101 has been very active beyond Italy. So that's a nice Spanish addition to it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they've been investing almost more in Spain than in Italy lately. And for sure they had quite a few exit events recently from Spain. So I can see why they're doubling down on the market.
It's working. Well, Spain is working. Interesting.
I'm also happy because they're probably the second-ish Italian fund who's actively and systematically investing abroad. So having an Italian footprint abroad also in terms of investment is not too shabby.
Totally.
We are even more on the radar, and I think that's useful.
It's good for the ecosystem. It's good for eventual reinvestment of capitals. It's good for like potential connection between across nation. It's you're so right. I agree completely. All right, now let's go to a big news. Stellantis Group launching his own corporate venture capital fund, allocating about 300 million.
300 million.
That's not too bad, right?
It's a big one. As a corporate VC fund, it's not too bad. I have to say, it is in our Italian newsletter, and we're talking about it in the podcast, even though the fund will be based out of the Netherlands, I believe. Okay. And it will invest globally in the verticals that are useful for Stellantis. But still, we have still memories of when Stellantis was an Italian car manufacturer.
This is a nostalgic news you're adding. It's a little bittersweet. But it's cool, and I think it would be cool to see how exactly they're gonna play it. Are they gonna play it like Series A investors? Are they gonna go seed? I mean, you also have Exor Seed, which is also playing and putting tickets into the early stage markets. So is it only mobility focused? Is it gonna have like a private equity sort of strategy? We don't have much information, to be honest with you.
There's his website with probably
one page.
Static page.
It's a landing page. They have a 300 million and a landing page.
Yeah, and the landing page says they will focus on early and later startup companies, cutting-edge technologies that will be deployed within the automotive and mobility sector in various areas such as sustainability, autonomous driving, electronics, supply chain, blah 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 blah. NFTs.
All right.
virtual reality, automotive. That's gonna be fun.
That's gonna be, yeah. Thesis, it's pretty broad. It's pretty like catch all, a lot of like great keywords and buzzword. Let's see how they're gonna move. Yeah. Do we know who is the manager of this fund? Is there any information about this? Like I couldn't find. I could find the sort of the company Stellantis CTO sort of, or I don't know if it's the innovation manager, the CTO sort of making a statement about the fund, but I could not find any person that actually. That would be curious to actually see, like curious to see how which people are they actually involving in running this operation.
I have no idea to say.
Interesting.
That's a very fair question, but no idea.
All right. What I want to sort of end up is on your reading list, sort of, which I thought it was very interesting. So first of all, honorable mention to Ilaria from Scale Up Italy, who's did like a great articles regarding the visa program for investors, and investor visa for Italy. So people actually living abroad trying to move to Italy. They have right now more option to actually receive a 2-year investor visa, which is a full resident permit, which can be extensible. I think it used to be only 500,000 in an Italian corporation. That was the sort of the beginning deal, and then it I believe it changed and it modified in different shapes, and it's good. And it's good because I think they also. They're trying to push it harder and make it easier for foreign to sort of try to develop something in Italy.
So that's an interesting program. I have to say I was not aware of the program. I didn't know much about it. So I find that kind of interesting.
I knew about the 500 million.
Invest in the country, get the visa. That's
yeah.
So
I knew about the 500,000. I don't remember, some friends were trying to move, and as a joke, I said, just put 500,000 in a startup. It's as easy as that. I've seen
actually $250,000. It's more than enough to get a visa.
Yeah, no, right now exactly. Right now is actually 250. It was 250. Now they're pushing it. They're opening up. What I found interesting though was the top 2 countries applying for Italy is United States and Russia. That was interesting. Above United Kingdom and other countries. That was cool. That was very curious. Very curious.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. All right, some quick mention now, I would say, to some latest event and maybe some updates that have been going on in the market. As we know, in the European market, there are a few big events talking about startups. One is a Shift, the other is Ugly Duck. We have a few, and Ugly Duck just issued this 2021 Market Insight presentation. And just a quick recommendation for people to actually check it out. It's a nice source of information, I feel. Ugly Duck provides nice insight, nice interviews, good founders. Well, it's a nice job from
the EIF.
Europe, from the EIF, exactly.
Remember that EIF is basically the investor in European venture capital, so they know everything about everyone. So Ugly Duck is very good, and I would say completely escaping Europe. And the numbers, I got the numbers. If you want to know like crazy, if you want to see crazy about venture, take a look at the video. It's just just under half an hour of insights. It's crazy. Top quartile funds, top quartile.
Wow.
25% of funds invested by EIF have a 25% IRR.
It's a terrific investor.
Terrific.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Unbelievable.
That exploded in the last couple of years.
Do we know the total asset under management of the fund, like the total amount? I'm sure there is what has been. I mean, it would be interesting to see what has been deployed and what has been allocated. So that's a good point, maybe to sort of dive deeper into.
Well, probably EAF has some numbers. So they have different lines of investment.
Yeah.
And each one is probably a few billions big.
Yeah, for sure.
There is the Invest Europe report about European venture capital. That's not exactly the same as EIF, because Invest Europe basically collects information from all the players who are willing to share information. And I believe Europe is seeing like a few billion of new funds each year in venture. Fantastic. So each year there are a few, like 4, 5, 6 billions of new venture capital entering the market.
Fantastic. And what's your feel in terms of existing Italian VC firm getting money from EIF? Is it easier? Is it tougher? Is it how is it how it feels like in your experience?
It's not. Well, I mean, it's easy in the sense that in terms of investor, they know exactly what they're looking for.
Okay, cool.
So they will not drag you around with doubts and whatever. They will just look at you, at your deck, at your thesis, and we say, okay, that makes sense, we invest, or it doesn't make sense, we are not investing. So they're quick and efficient.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Get into a decision because they know everything. They know everyone. They can compare you with everybody in different moments in history.
Yeah.
So they're easier for them to take investment decisions. And then they have, having said that, they have mandates to support some economies in respect to the others and blah, blah, blah. So there's some politics going on as well. But in terms of an operator, they are extremely knowledgeable. So
awesome.
In terms of being in general difficult to get to them, I don't know, because I have no clear statistics about how many funds that are currently active actually raised capital from EIF and actually asked for capital to EIF.
I see.
That's difficult to say.
All right, Nick. With that, thank you so much for the conversation. Thank you to all participants. Again, this is the Week in Italian Startups. We have this awesome discussion every week, so please feel free to join. And I'll see you all next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jack. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.